This program contains flashing images.
Welcome to the Thursday FIA press conference ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. We are joined today from left to right by Kimi RÄIKKÖNEN from Ferrari, Fernando Alonso from McLaren, and Valtteri BOTTAS from Mercedes. Kimi, if we can start with you, it was third place in Australia for the opening race. Could have been even better. And you said you were happy with the car during the first weekend. Could you just tell us what about this car it is that you like, and does it suit you more than last year's car?
Obviously, it's hard to say. I think it was pretty straightforward weekend, so yeah, for sure we could have done more things and improve always, but it's the same. It doesn't matter if you win or you're 10th or something. There's always things to improve and work on. So obviously we have a very limited amount of time over the weekend to do things with the practice and everything. So also with the weather, and it was a bit tricky. So, but yeah, overall, I think we were quite pleased how things went. Yeah, you want more, better positions, but I think we take that happily as a team. We did a pretty decent job out of it. So, yeah, not much to complain, really. Yeah, you want to win races, but you know, it's the first race out, and we managed to get decent points. So, yeah, we go forward on here, try to make a good practice, and so far the car's been working well, even with pretty limited testing over the winter with some illness, and obviously the weather was not ideal on the first test. So yeah, I'm pretty okay with how things are running, and let's just keep doing our normal things and improving.
Thank you very much. Valtteri, coming to you. It was a difficult weekend for you in Australia, especially with the crash in qualifying. How much does a weekend like that play on your mind in the gap between races, and how eager are you to get out on track this weekend?
Well, not so much been in my mind, because everything was kind of processed during the weekend, and it was a bad weekend. That's it. You know, now we still have 20 races to go, and we're here in Bahrain. So, yeah, nothing really to worry about at this point. You know, we have a competitive car. We know we still have a lot of work to do to make it better. But yeah, just a bad weekend, so looking forward to this one.
Thank you very much. And Fernando, coming to you, you said on Saturday evening that hopefully you'd finish higher than P7 or P6 in Australia, and you went and finished in 5th place. So where will you finish this weekend?
I don't know, I don't have the crystal ball anymore, but I think, you know, definitely the car has some potential. I think over the winter we had some up and downs in testing, and then in Australia it was the same thing. The free practice were affected by the weather, and then the qualifying was not smooth enough for us to show the potential. So it was a good race, a lucky race with the two Haas retirements and the virtual safety car, obviously. But nevertheless, I think we take this 5th place, and we move on. Still a lot to improve for us if we want to catch up the top 3 teams, but I think we have the potential there, and hopefully we can unlock some performance in the next races.
Thank you very much. We'll now open it up to questions from the floor. Please remember to give your name and publication for the transcript.
Dan Knutson, Auto Action and Speed Sport. Fernando, following on from that, as you say, ups and downs and still potential to come, but are happy days here again?
Well, I think it's still quite a reasonable gap to close with the leaders, but I think it's up to us now. You know, it's up to the team, you know, to deliver the performance in the next weeks, in the next 4, 5, 6 Grand Prix. If we are able to bring the performance to the track and close that gap, and you know, being in a reasonable distance with the pole position and the podium finishes and things like that, then it's up to us to deliver the result on the weekend. So, you know, I think the next, let's say, 2 months are crucial for our hopes in this year's championship. But yeah, hopefully we can keep improving the car, keep putting more performance, and if it's not a world championship fight, will be hopefully some podiums positions during the year, or can be some or regular top 6, top 5 positions, not only in Australia P5 because the virtual safety car and the 2 Haas retirements. Maybe the P5 could become a normality. So that's something that we need to discover and to find out. And as I said before, it's probably the first time in the last 3 years that it's up to us now, you know, to deliver that result. So we will try to do our best.
Heikki Kulta, Turun Sanomat. Kimi, you have 8 podiums here, but the qualifying results have not been that good, only 1 P3. Is that the biggest difference you have between races and qualifying in any circuit? And if yes, where is that coming from?
I don't look too closely what has happened in the past. You probably know better. And to be honest, we try to do our best, and sometimes works, sometimes not. And obviously you start where you qualify, and then there's a good place, or not that great, but you try to make the best out of it. And to be honest, some years it's been working out well here. You could have choose the tires and do different race, and it worked out well. Could that be better if you start in the front? Who knows? But no, another weekend we try to do a good job and be up there, and then see where we end up. It's a bit unknown. This is a completely different circuit than the previous two where we've been in Barcelona and Australia. So yeah, we have to see how everything plans out and where we are, where others are. But it's been a pretty decent place in the past years.
Front row, gentleman with the black polo, front row.
Review Globalsport.com. To Kimi and Valtteri, starting with Kimi. Kimi, you were almost 7/10 slower in qualifying in Australia. Do you think Mercedes can also have in qualifying such an advantage here and in race conditions, if you believe Ferrari will be more or less in the same gap to Mercedes, or even smaller due to the characteristics of the track, considering the history of Ferrari in this track?
Who knows? I mean, you can keep guessing as long as you want. We see over the weekend where we are. I'm zero interest to start guessing where we are. What's the difference in qualifying? There's so many things that will change that, and you know, we do our best and see where we end up qualifying race. But the most important part is the Sunday after the race, wherever we finished. You know, I'm happy to be 2 seconds off if we win every Sunday. I don't care. You know, it's pretty relevant on Saturdays in that way. But yeah, I don't know. That's why we come here and find out.
Yeah, I think pretty much same. So you can always guess, but at this point we can only guess. So yeah, I think historically Ferrari has been good here. They had a good race pace in Australia. Last year they had stronger pace here than in Australia. So I think it's going to be a threat, and they're going to be close to us, even Red Bull. But more than that, it's just can't say. We will see how the weekend develops.
Afternoon, gentlemen. David Croft, Sky Sports F1. Interesting day coming up tomorrow, where we understand Liberty Media will be presenting their blueprint for the future of Formula One to the teams. I was just wondering, as drivers, what input you've had, what consultations you've had, and where you see any changes necessary from a racing perspective to improve Formula One for the future. It's a question to you all.
If Fernando, you could start with that one.
Well, I don't think that there is any thing we can probably say about that. Definitely, Liberty has been quite open to us from day one, and they've been asking us, you know, all last year about, you know, opinions and different ideas that we may had. So that was a very productive conversations. So I think now they have a plan. They will show tomorrow to the teams, and you know, we will agree with whatever the decision is, you know, because they have all the power and they have all the knowledge of how to do things. So, you know, hopefully they bring new ideas, new things that can improve the show, and that will be welcome from all of us.
Kimi, has there been any feedback you've been giving to Liberty about the direction of F1?
No, it's in the end, it's not our decision. It's up to them. It's their business. They make plans and obviously decisions what they feel is the correct, and I don't know what they're doing. I know very little about it, and I'm not interested either. So you know, we'll see tomorrow what they say. It's in many years' time anyhow, and I doubt that I'll be here, so it doesn't really bother me at all.
And Valtteri, anything to add?
Well, nothing. I think Fernando covered well, but in the end it's their decision, and tomorrow we'll see what they recommend. So it's difficult to speculate more than that, but it will be interesting to see what they recommend.
Jerome Pugmire, Associated Press. Question for Valtteri. You say it's been processed what happened at the Australian Grand Prix. But how much pressure do you feel under to have a good performance here?
I think it's a normal race weekend. That's my feeling at the moment, honestly. So sometimes you have bad races, and then there's always the next one. And of course, you always want to perform, but there is no point on gathering pressure from one mistake in qualifying. So yeah, just of course, I always hope for a good weekend. But yeah, I feel normal race weekend ahead.
RäIKKÖNEN.com. Just come back to the previous question. To all drivers, Fernando said they have the power to change Formula One. If you had the power, how would be the Formula One? What would you change in the Formula One we have today?
Kimi, do you want to take that first?
I don't have, so.
Nothing you change at all?
No, I don't have the power, so what's the point to even think about it? Because I don't understand where you know, what's the point for me? To give you a list, because in the end I have zero power. So, yeah, but I can. You understand? We can't. We don't make the rules. So that's my point. You know. So what's the point of even making a story out of it?
Fernando, is there anything you would change if you could in Formula One?
Well, I think it could be a closer battle, that will be always welcome. But it has been always like that in F1, I remember watching the TV in the very old days, and, there was on television last week, race from 90 or 89. And a part of the first 4 cars, everyone was lapped. And we remember that era like a golden era, with big names and etc. And they've been always big spread. But I think if you see now other series, or if you watch a race of IndyCar or whatever, that unpredictable result until the last 10 laps makes you excited, in front of the television. And now we can put now the qualifying order for this race right now on Thursday. And that's a little bit sad.
And Valtteri, anything you would change if you had the power to?
Well, I think, like everyone, all the spectators, all the drivers, we would all love more close racing, like Fernando said, but how to do that, it's not in my hands.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Dieter Renken, Racing Lions and RaceFans.net. Fernando, one of McLaren's stated objectives this year is to return to the podium. Now, based on what you've experienced in testing in the race, what you've just said, etc., in order to get onto the podium, you have to beat both, or one or both Ferraris, one or both Mercedes, plus 2 Red Bulls, which have got the same engine. Do you honestly believe that that's doable and achievable this year?
Yes. We were 2 places from that podium already in Australia, and they were very close the last 10 laps, the Ricciardo and Kimi fighting together. So, anything can happen in a race. I won 2 races in 2008 with that ING Renault. I was in the podium in 2009 with the introduction of Kurz and that car that we were, I think, 9th in the World Championship or something like that, and I was in the podium. So anything can happen in the F1, and if you are close to that position, before or later that opportunity will come, and we will be there to take it. So yeah, I think it's very possible this year.
Next question. No more? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. A full transcript will be available on FIA.com.
We'd like to apologise for any bad language which you may have heard during this programme. Sky Sports F1. Feel it all.